In the rich city of Port Harcourt in the south-south region of Nigeria, there lives a very identical twin, Ella and Emma. Right from the day they were born, Emma and Ella have always created confusion among their parents and the people around them. When they were babies, the parents dyed their hairs in different colors to help them differentiate between the two girls. But as soon as they began to grow up, they found it hard to achieve this because Ella would always frustrate their efforts. When the girls clocked 10 years, their mother dyed their hair, but that by the time they got back from school, they were carrying the same hair. One of the twins, Ella, forced her sister Emma to the salon and instructed the person to make her hair exactly the same way. The days that passed were very frustrating for their mother because none of the twins would own up to doing something wrong in the house. She sometimes even wonders if she was talking to the two girls or it's just the same person she kept seeing every time. She was greatly disturbed by her inability to recognize her twins. But this time, she decided that she would tattoo one of the twin girls on the back. She tattooed Emma's back, and she was happy that finally she could recognize the twin. Whenever Ella comes up with her mischievous behavior of misrepresenting her sister, her mother would know she was responsible by the time she checked the tattoo on their back. One day, Ella broke the ceramic pots their mother inherited from her mother. Emma and her mother were in the kitchen when it happened. Emma screamed, "Ella, what did you do?" But when Mama looked, she couldn't tell who was Ella or Emma. She asked Ella to come forward, but Ella pushed Emma forward, saying it was her who broke the pot. The two girls began to argue, and their mother was very mad. She asked the girls to come forward. She checked their backs and was surprised that the tattoo on Ella's back was gone. So she couldn't tell who was Ella or Emma. Emma assured the mom that she's Ella, but Ella began to cry that she's Emma, and Ella is just trying to make her punish her for no reason, when indeed she's Ella. Their mother did not know what to do. She bursted into tears, asking the girls why they want to drive her crazy. She began to think of what else to do, but every time she comes up with a solution, Ella would always frustrate her efforts. As the twins grew up, Emma always performed better than Ella in academics, and whenever Emma was called on stage to receive awards in school, Ella would go forward to receive it. Emma always did not want to embarrass her sister, so she would let her take a shine. And whenever they get home to show their parents their results, Ella would beg Emma that they switch their results and change names with Tipex. Emma knows this is not right, but she always wants her sister to be happy. Their parents would often wonder why Ella would change their results, and when they tried to ask the girls who did it, she would point at Emma, and Emma would point back at her, leaving their parents confused again. Years passed, and instead of getting better, Ella became worse. But even though Ella is a big pretender and she tends to copy Emma's behavior, their parents began to see the differences between the two girls. Ella is the lazy one and Emma is the hardworking one. But if Ella wants to confuse their parents or friends, she would do exactly what Emma does, talk and walk the way she does. She is so good at replicating her sister's behavior that many people could not tell the difference between the two girls. Years later, the girls were all grown and out of high school. Emma passed with flying colors, but this time, Emma did not allow Ella to have access to her results. Their parents were very happy with Emma and they blamed Ella for being lazy. Months later, Emma gained admission into the university to study medicine. Ella, on the other hand, told her parents that she only wants to work to make money. They tried to convince her to consider going further in her education, but she insisted that she could not cope with rigorous schoolwork. Emma began her studies, while Ella worked as a cleaner in the house of a very wealthy family. 7 years later, Emma became a medical doctor and she made her parents proud and they hosted a party for Emma to celebrate her win. Before the event, Ella told Emma that she feels like a failure and she's going to be unhappy seeing people praise her as a doctor while she only works as a cleaner. Emma then assures her that a win is Ella's win. She asked her to wear the same clothes for the event to prevent people from telling the difference between them. Ella was very happy to hear this. On the party day, the girls wore the same shoes, hair, jewelry, and clothes. So people congratulated the two girls throughout the day. Emma even excused herself at some points to make Ella happy for that day. After the party, Emma told her twin sister that she has something to tell her. She advised her to go back to school, to be proud of herself and make their parents proud. But Ella replied that she doesn't have the brains. Emma then suggested that she learn a skill, but Ella had already made up her mind. The next day, Emma was at the hospital when she was called for an emergency. A young man who just arrived from the US was wheeled after he was involved in an accident. There were broken glasses on the man's body and he needs surgery immediately. A few hours later, Emma was able to stabilize the man. His mother, Mrs. Badmos, came in and she began to cry as her only son laid on the bed. Emma had gone to attend to other patients at this time. She arrived shortly and the woman was shocked. She got up and asked Emma why she was the one attending to her son. Emma told her that she is the doctor on set. Is there a problem, ma'am? Emma asked, surprised at Mrs. Badmer's questions. Are you not Ella, my house help? Mrs. Badmus asked, looking at Emma from head to toe. Emma busted out laughing as she understands the reason for the confusion. She told Mrs. Badmus that she is indeed Ella's twin sister. Mrs. Badmus was surprised. She said she couldn't tell the difference between them because of the striking resemblance. Days later, she told Emma that she wanted to take her son home and would like her to come and take care of him at home from time to time. She was ready to pay handsomely, so Emma accepted the offer. The hospital workload for Emma was too much and she was always very busy and tired when she gets home. So she only gets to talk to Ella every once in a while. So she did not get the chance to inform Ella about her encounter with Mrs. Badmus. But when she arrived at their home, she explained to Ella as she opened the door for her. She told her that Mrs. Badmus wanted her to treat her son in their home and she was sorry for not telling her earlier. Surprisingly, Ella did not take any offense and she told her that she's happy that her hard work is beginning to pay off. She sat with Emma in the sitting room and she explained how Timmy used to live in the US since his high school days. He was coming home to see his parents after a long time when he had the accident. I'm happy that he's getting better now, Emma replied as she sipped a drink. Mrs. Badmos entered at that moment. She welcomed Emma and took her to Timmy's room. She then informed her that she wants her to take great care of her son and not to start chatting with her sister when she should be attending to him. Emma assured Mrs. Badmos that she would do no such thing. For 3 months, Emma was taking great care of Timmy and soon he began to develop feelings for her. Many times, he would ask her out on a date, but Emma would reject his offer even though she likes him. She doesn't want to hurt Ella's feelings by dating her boss's son. Besides, it will look awkward for her to be served by a twin sister when she visits the family. Emma began to think of how to avoid Timmy, but she couldn't think of anything. His mother also showed interest in her, and she became nicer towards her. Emma was falling for Timmy, but she couldn't date him because of Ella. One morning, she called Mrs. Badmas to inform her that she would no longer be available to attend to her son again. Mrs. Badmus felt bad about it. She asked her why, but Emma could not give a cogent reason. Emma continued a full-time job at the hospital and she swore never to take on such personal jobs again. For days, Timmy visited Emma at the hospital, but she kept avoiding him. She would tell the receptionist to tell him that she is not on set or is busy in the theater. When it became obvious that she was avoiding him, Timmy waited in his car one day until she closed for the day. He approached her and asked her why she was avoiding him, but she told them that she's been very busy lately. Timmy was able to convince her to go on a date that day, and from then onwards, the two began to see more often. Emma has fallen deeply in love, and she did not know how to break the news to Ella. She wants Ella to stop working with Timmy's family, but she found out that she wasn't ready to do that during the discussions. Ella had told Emma countless times that she wished to work and retire with the Badmos family because they pay her handsomely compared to other wealthy households in the country. Emma was shocked at the way her twin sis saw things, but she doesn't know how to convince her that she can't be a maid forever. After giving it a careful thought, Emma decided to inform Ella about her relationship with Timmy. Ella was surprised when she told her. She told Emma that she doesn't expect her to date someone like Timmy. You deserve a bigger and better person, Emma. How could you stoop so low to date someone like Timmy? He uses drugs and is very dirty. You can't date someone like that. Ella discouraged her sister. Emma was silent. She replied that she would do something about the relationship if she did not like Timmy. I never said I didn't like him. I was just telling you the facts, Ella replied, rolling her eyes. Days later, Timmy promised to see Emma, but he did not show up after she waited for over 3 hours at their meeting spot. It's unusual of him, so she called his cell phone, but the call kept going to voicemail. Also, he did not call her to explain why he kept her waiting. The next day, she decided to stop by at his place before heading to work. But when she got there, Ella did not allow her inside. She took Emma to a corner of the house and she told her that Timmy is planning to travel back to the US with his real girlfriend. Emma was heartbroken. She asked Ella if she was sure, and she even asked her to swear, and Ella did. Ella asked Emma to go to work and that she shouldn't come back there if she doesn't want Mrs. Badmos to embarrass her. Mrs. Badmos has been embarrassing all the girls that came looking for Timmy. She kept calling them gold diggers. I told you this family is not a good one, Ella told her sister. Unknown to Emma, Ella has been misrepresenting her as the family doctor and she has been spending more time with Timmy. She was able to do this by replacing Emma's phone number with hers and blocking Emma's number on Timmy's phone so he couldn't reach her. She would work as the maid for the day and pretend to close for the day. She would then change her uniform and pretend to be Emma and switch to doctor duties by evening. Timmy could not tell the difference between the girls, so he did not know what was happening. With what Ella told Emma, her heart was broken to pieces. She has always thought that Timmy loved her dearly, but it's obvious that he doesn't love her right now. Emma did not believe what she heard. She left the Badmos place crying as she drove home and she had an accident on her way. The hospital called Ella and she rushed down there. She asked if Emma was fine, but she was told that she was in a coma. Ella asked the doctor how long it would take for her to come out of the coma, but the doctor informed her that they are not sure. It could take days, weeks, months, or even years. Ella thought of informing her parents, but a thought occurred to her. She decided to keep it to herself, and she told the hospital that she's the only relative Emma has. She took Emma's phone and switched it off. Then she paid her hospital bills and went home. When she got home, she informed the parents that Emma's office called her to inform her that she did not come to the office that day, and all efforts to reach her were in vain. Her parents were surprised. They called her office and they told her the same thing. Emma did not show up at the office. Ella's mom began to cry. She asked Ella if she knew anything about her sister's whereabouts, but she replied that she did not mention where she was going to her. They kept trying her number, but it kept going to voicemail. The next day, they filed a missing person report at the police station, and the twins' mom wouldn't stop crying. That day, Ella informed her parents that she will be traveling on a long trip. According to her, Mrs. Badmos and her family are traveling to the US for their son's wedding, and they want the housemates to be present. Her parents were against it at first because they were scared of losing their only available daughter. Ella had already packed before informing her parents and they were surprised at this. Unknown to them, Ella was able to convince Timmy to take her with him when he's going to the US, and it was easy for him because he's resident in the country. Besides, since he thought he was dealing with the other twin, Emma, the talented doctor, he believes getting a job would be easy for her. Ella submitted every detail that belonged to Emma, and she was able to pass through the immigration without issues. She succeeded because of a striking resemblance with Emma. She got to the US and began to live with Timmy. Timmy was very happy that he was together with Hella, whom he thought was Emma, and he began to make wedding plans. But after spending over 5 weeks together, he was surprised that she did not make any effort to look for a job, despite her qualifications and experience. He asked her why she has refused to search for jobs despite her excellent experience as a doctor in her home country. But Ella lied that she wasn't enjoying her job back then and that she was just faking all of it. The job was too stressful and it took a great toll on my health. Now, I find it difficult to control my emotions when I see blood and I end up throwing up or breaking down. Ella lied, pretending to be sad. Timmy hugged her and promised to support her regardless of what she chose to do. He asked her to look around and see if she could set up a business or take up any job and he would help her with it. Ella was happy that her life worked and she began to think of what to do. She doesn't want to give Timmy an opportunity to doubt her. Days later, she told them that she has always wanted to own a fashion outfit. So she would open a store where Nigerians can shop and get Nigerian clothes. Timmy promised to establish her and Ella was very happy. Helula always made sure to get updates from the hospital where Emma was in coma. She would always call a nurse to know if there was any progress in Emma's condition. That way, she could keep tabs on her and prevent her from going home when she wakes up from the coma. Weeks later, Timmy got a nice place for Ella and she was very happy. She hugged him and praised him in a lousy and strange way. At that point, Timmy began to suspect that everything was not right. The fact that she told him that she doesn't want to work as a doctor was the first red flag because he knows Emma loves her job passionately and he began to think that all those stories were made up. He called Ella to a corner of the store and asked her if everything was fine. He asked her if she truly wanted to go through with the fashion outfit and abandon her job as a doctor. And Ella replied that she has never been so sure in her life. Timmy began to notice some differences in how Ella talked and how it was lacking Emma's compassionate attitude. He began to wonder if she was truly Emma. So, he decided to watch her more closely. He found out that this person loves cleaning a lot and she always keeps the house in order, just like the house help Ella does. It then dawned on him that she was Ella and not Emma, like he had thought. He began to think of what could have happened to Emma, but he did not have any answers. He decided to take the next flight to Nigeria to go to the twins' parents. At least they should have an answer for him. When he got there, they received him well. He asked them about Emma, and they told him that they've been searching for her for months. Timmy was shocked. He then asked them about Hella, and they told him that she's on a trip to the US with her employers. They also told him that Hella has not reached out to them ever since she left, and it hurt them greatly because Emma is also missing. Timmy felt bad for the couple, and he promised to always check out on them. He explained how Ella impersonated her sister to be in the United States and how this could have adverse effects on him if he wants to take someone else to the States. He also told them that he would have no choice but to inform the immigration officers about what she did as soon as they found Emma, or Emma would not be able to travel with him because her details had already been used. Timmy explained how much he was heartbroken and disappointed in Ella. He said he is surprised that Ella could be that heartless towards Emma, who had already discussed with him and they were already planning to take her along and help her get a job in the States. He said he's scared that Ella might have hurt her sister Emma and he wouldn't take it lightly with her if he found out she did. He excused himself and told the couple that she would be visiting again. As Timmy sat in his car, he was surprised at the discovery and disappointed in himself for not being able to tell the difference between the love of his life, Hema, and Ella. He cried in his car, hoping and praying that nothing bad had happened to Hema. Timmy did not know what to do or where to begin, so he started by going to the police station, and they informed him that they have carried out extensive searches in the hospitals, mortuaries, and other likely places Emma could be, but they couldn't find her. Timmy paid them more money to resume the search again, but after a few weeks of searching, the police told him they couldn't find her. After 3 months of searching without success, Timmy had to go back to the States. While in Nigeria, he had kept in touch with Hella throughout his stay, without doing anything to make her suspect that he was looking for her twin sister. He also visited the twins' parents regularly and told them not to tell Ella that he visited. When he got back to the States, he found out that Ella had closed down the store he opened 3 months ago for her. He asked her what happened, and she told him that business was not moving, so she had to close down. He was very angry with her because it means thousands of dollars had gone down the drain in just 3 months. He thought of confronting Ella about what she did to Emma, but after his second thought, he decided not to. Instead, he hired an IT expert to hack her calls so he could find out what she was hiding. After listening to her calls for days, he found out that Ella calls a certain number every evening asking for an update. But she's always very careful when talking to the person to ensure that anyone listening would have no clue what they're talking about. A few weeks later, Timmy was listening to her calls as usual when the other person said, "She woke up. What should I do to her?" "She did?" Ella asked, surprised. "Is there any way we can make her go back to sleep?" she added. And the other person replied, "Yes, I can do that, but it would cost you a lot of money. I can keep her in a vegetative state for the rest of her life if that is what you want. All I'll be needing is plenty of money." The person at the other end said with a smirk, "Honestly, I think keeping her that way for life would be the best decision, and I need you to do that fast. How much will it cost me?" Ella asked again. $50,000, the person answered. "Okay, I'll send you $50K now. Do the job and make sure it is clean," Ella said as she hung up. Timmy was at home when he heard the conversation. When he got to the office, he sent the number of the other person to his friend in Nigeria to help him trace the caller, and he quickly swung into action. He wondered how Ella would be able to get the $50K, and he remembered that he made her signature to his account before he realized she wasn't Hema. So he called his bank and informed them that he no longer wishes for Ella to be a signatory to his account. A few hours later, he called his Nigerian friend who informed him that the nurse had been arrested and that his girlfriend Emma has been in a coma at the hospital for months now, but she's out of the coma now. Timmy was surprised. He called Emma's parents and informed them about their daughter's whereabouts. When they got there, they took a picture with her and sent it to Timmy. He was very happy and thankful to God that she was alive. They also did a video call, and Timmy confessed to her that he loves her very much. When Emma asked after Ella, her parents told her that they would explain everything to her when they get home. That night, when Timmy got home, he was very happy. Ella asked him why he was that happy, and he replied that he had just won a jackpot. Ella was fuming as she asked him why he did not pick her numerous calls. "I wanted to send some money to my parents, but the bank said I'm no longer a signatory to your account. You did not inform me about this. May I know why?" Ella asked in anger, not knowing that she has been exposed. Meanwhile, before leaving the office, Timmy wrote a letter to the embassy that there is an impostor in his home. The US officials arrived and wheeled Ella away. She was confused as she did not understand what was going on. Timmy also kept quiet as she asked him why she's been arrested. 2 days later, Timmy took a flight down to Nigeria to see the love of his life, Hema, but she was angry with him. She asked him to go back to his wife in the States. Her parents asked her to calm down and listen to Timmy. Timmy started by telling her that her sister, Ella, was responsible for her accident. He said he was preparing to take Emma to the States, and Ella must have been eavesdropping when he was discussing it with his mom. I promised you that I was taking you to the States with your sister, Ella, but I did not tell you the actual time because I wanted to make it a surprise. Timmy began to explain. Ella lied to you because she thought I was taking only you to the States. She did not know she was included. Ella also impersonated you and lied to your parents that she was going on a trip with her employers. She used all your documents and certificates to apply to the United States, and she even tried to make you a vegetable for the rest of your life. The good news is that I found out at the right time and she has been arrested now. She has to do the term before she will be deported back to Nigeria. I hope you find it in your heart to forgive her and also give our love a chance again. Emma was speechless. She began to cry. She wondered why her twin sister would want to harm her despite all her love for her. Right there, Timmy proposed to Emma and they got married in a few weeks. They traveled together to the US and lived happily ever after. Ella spent 15 years in prison for impersonation and she was deported back to Nigeria. The moral of this story is that we should always do good and good will always follow us. It also teaches us that we will reap whatever we sow, no matter how long. The truth will always prevail. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share before you leave.